Welcome, my name is Reggie Matters with RMVIG, and welcome to the Revitalize Hope webpage. And if you're joining us on YouTube, thank you and welcome as well. Please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. And also, feel free to leave a comment. I love to hear your thoughts and get your feedback on how I can make these videos better, or if you like the topics on these videos. Right now, I want to talk about something that is sort of old, sort of new, and that is basically men. Yes, there is a large amount of women who feel like there are no good men, or men no longer want to be married. Then there are a lot of people that feel like men are becoming softer and more sensitive. Well, I think in a way all of that is true. Are there no good men in the world? Especially when it comes to black men, they're saying that, there's no good black men. Well, you know what? I think there's good men of all races in this world. I think men are shying away from marriage. So I know a lot of women saying that like men don't want to get married anymore. They don't want to be in a committed relationship. And I think that a lot of men are just, they're witnessing what other men are going through. And I say this not to sound disrespectful to women, but I think a lot of men are saying like, wow, I'm seeing my friends who are married get divorced and they're getting raked over the coals. So a lot of guys like, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to put myself in that position. So I'd rather just date than actually get into a marriage, because it's a lot easier. And a lot of men now are like, don't want kids, because of the fact that if the marriage goes sour, you're going to get, when you go to court, it's like whatever you make, we're taking. And, so it's just, it's a system to where men feel like they don't have a voice. They are not represented. The laws do not benefit men. So a lot of men just feel like, I don't want to get in a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship. Why? Why put myself through that headache if everything goes bad? Now, I'm not saying that that's the good mindset to have. I'm not saying that's the best mindset to have. But I think when people go through things, or they see people go through things, they start to feel like, wow, this is just totally not worth it. It's like, I'm not going to get caught up in that. And, because I've been married, I've been divorced. And I'll be honest with you, there was at one point I was working 2 jobs and I was making $33 every 2 weeks. 2 full-time jobs now, and I was making $33 every 2 weeks. And there is no help for men. And that's the thing about it. And I think people don't consider that. There are not resources out there for men. Most of the churches, if you go to a church and say, look, I got my paycheck stubs, I'm working 2 jobs, but I just don't have groceries, I can't get food. Well, they're going to say, well, this is for single mothers. And no offense, even recently, T.I. did a great thing for Christmas. Please, I love T.I. I love his music, much respect. But T.I. went, I think it was Target, and he said, single mothers, all the single mothers. And he purchased the gifts for those who couldn't really buy. T.I. spent the money to buy for them. And I think that's a great thing. But there's nothing for men. There's nothing to help men get back on their feet. Because I remember at one point when I was back in Atlanta, when I first got up there, after the divorce, oh my God, everything was just bad. I was homeless. So I was living, I was working for a security company. But like I said, I was making $33 every 2 weeks. So I was basically living in the park, sleeping on the train station to the train stop, hopping from train to train, sleeping in bathrooms, wherever I could find a place to sleep, I was sleeping. And the thing about it is, there's no help for men. Now, a lot of people say, well, they have shelters. Well, the shelters are first come, first serve. You're probably better off sleeping on the street than you are in those shelters, especially the ones for men. because and I understand they don't want them to be comfortable so people feel like this is home. You know, they want to be like a temporary place to stay. But, you know, in those shelters, you go to sleep, you wake up, your bag is gone, your boots are gone. I mean, all that stuff. You know, so there's just not a lot of help for men. But you know what? It was an educational experience because there was sort of a camaraderie among a couple of us that was there because, you know, one night, you know, we was all in the park and we were just talking. And I was just really surprised at how many men were homeless because of child support. I was really shocked. And, you know, and just to hear, like, these men were not saying that they don't want to find work. It was just like, okay, if I do get a job, they're taking all of this money that I can't afford to do anything. I can't afford to get a place. I can't afford to get a car because they're taking my whole check. So, you know, me, myself, I got to work. You know, I was getting my $33, trying to make that $33 last 2 weeks between MARTA pass, food, you know. But it's just a lot of these guys, man, were really on the streets because they was trying. They just didn't see another way because it didn't matter where they worked. They was taking your money. They was taking their money. And, you know, there are some women are really good. It's like, I want the father to be a part of their life. So I want, you know, I'm not going to keep the children from you. But you got some women who are like, you're not seeing your kids. I don't care. They don't care. So you got a lot of men who don't get in relationships for that reason. As far as men being sensitive, there's a change taking place. So yes, and I noticed this myself because I've even did memes and little social media stuff about this. I have noticed that a lot of men are very much more sensitive now. When I say sensitive, it's like it's almost like it's not like a man, you know. It's like I've never seen men, like I've noticed now, like I worked at a couple jobs where men are like, oh, you know, he didn't speak to me. I'm upset. But you don't know the dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like you go to work every day. Like I go to work. When I go to work, my mindset is I'm going to work to do my job. My people I work with are coworkers. They're not friends. They're coworkers. And I can make that separation, but some people can't. Some people can't make that separation. So it's like, you know, oh, you don't want to have lunch with me? No. Why not? You busy? No, I just don't want to have lunch with you. Because, like I said, when I have lunch, I like to have lunch by myself. That's sort of my recoup time, you know, to kind of get my mind right. Especially if you got a job where you deal with a lot of people. So, the thing about it is, a lot of men these days is really sensitive. And I just look at them like, wow, really? You're a dude. Why are you so... Okay, but anyway, I can go on for days about that. But the reason I feel like men are sensitive because at one point in time, there were things that men did that were just men. And you heard the old saying that iron sharpens iron. Well, now, I believe it's like everything that men used to have and do has forced integration. And I'm not. I don't want to say this I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but it was like everything is now just forced. It's like even the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts now are kind of mixing on some of the programs, and it's like, you know, you gotta have that time for men to be with men, and even our younger males. You know, you got to allow them to be in male, you got to allow them to participate in activity events that are male only. Because that's how men learn to be men. You learn to be men from other men. And I know a lot of people are going to give me slack about this. I don't feel a woman And I feel like a woman can raise a child. A man can raise a child. A woman can provide and raise a male child. But she can't teach a male child to be a man. Just like a man cannot teach a female to be a woman. Because there are certain things that you just need that only a male can give to a male child. And a female, there are certain things, like I cannot tell a female what's going on with a menstrual cycle. Now I can do the research and look it up from basically what I know on TV, but there's nothing like the experience of giving somebody something and knowledge and information from experience. You know what I mean? Like I can't tell you the different parts of a cycle, like it's kind of, the different ways the blood clots and falls out as a different sign, all that stuff. But another female can. I can't tell you the warning signs other than what I read in the book. But a woman can give a female child more insight. You know what I'm saying? So there are certain things that male children need to learn from men, and there are certain things that female need to learn from a woman. And that's not to put either gender down. It's just facts. And I think right now, a lot of our men are not getting the experience of being able to be part of something that is males. I mean, when you look at, honestly, when I look at some of the sports players now, honestly, I've never seen so many sensitive men. I look at, you got LeBron James and them all fighting on Twitter like little high school kids. All these NBA players, everybody's fighting on Twitter like little kids, like little children. Well, so look at the person who holds the title of President of the United States. Talking about somebody with some, okay, woo, I'm about to say something. Talk about somebody with some sensitive tendencies. All this stuff, let me tell you how, like, the men I know and the men I came up with, dude, a lot of stuff we just like, yeah, whatever, dude, whatever. Talk is cheap. It was action. But men today are more like, you said something about me? Twitter fight. Come on. So men, there is a sensitive group of men out there today. There's a very sensitive group. And our younger generation is very sensitive. Very sensitive. But that's just something because, it's like I just did a video on sexual misconduct. There is not a lot of resources for men. It's just not. And the thing, it's like when men grow up and leave the house, there's not much resources dedicated for you. There's a lot of stuff dedicated for women to help them get back on their feet, to help them get started, get a business. For a man, a lot of that doesn't exist. Now, a lot of this came about because primarily, before the feminist movement that took place, a lot of stuff was already controlled by men. We know that. Let's be clear though. It was controlled by white men. Okay, white men. All right, let's be honest. It was controlled by white men. So now, with the feminist movement and everything that's going on, there's a desperate plea to just integrate everything to try to make up for all of what took place back then that women could not be a part of. So now it's this massive movement to just, okay, gotta have a woman. And don't get me wrong now, I think anybody who's qualified to do a job, be in a movie, whatever, do it. Sports commentator, do it. But the thing about it is, we got to figure out a way to balance this thing. So, and I think that's the problem. It's like society has become so accustomed to when a complaint is filed, don't come up with a balanced resolution. Just implement the plaintiff in the position. You know, put whatever fits the plaintiff in the spot. Problem solved. And that's basically what's happened. So now, you know, we're having to deal with, you know, a lot of men who are, you know, I mean, everything. I mean, because here's what happened. As society decided that women need to integrate more into areas that were male only, a lot of male only clubs and all that stuff have really faded away. Really faded away. They're gone. They're gone. A lot of male only organizations, and I'm talking about positive male organizations that really wanted to build the community and build positive mindsets and encourage the youth. Organizations like that, a lot of them have faded away. They're gone. They're faded. So, and the younger generation never picked that up. So now we're just sort of stuck with, you know, everything now is sort of, you know, just a mixed pod, which is good. But at some point, because women still have a lot of organizations for them, but there's just not a lot of organizations for men. And you know, for people in college, you still got your fraternities. You know, women have their sororities, but there needs to be something, you know, to where we can start getting our young males back in and teaching our young men how to be adult men. And I think that's what's lost. That part of life is lost because we don't have that anymore. And everybody said, well, these celebrities, well, what are these celebrities doing? They create these organizations which are really charitable donation, which gives them a big tax break. And there are some good coming from it, but I don't think that, you know, here's my thing. Anytime you put together a movement or organization, what's the long-term result? What is the long-term result? And I think that's something we need to look at. So yes, there is a change in men. We do have men that's more sensitive now. And like I said, I recognize it. It's not something that I'm a fan of. It's not something that I'm used to. You know, I'm not used to men who are, and when I say, I think we need to define sensitive because there's a lot of misconceptions going on because some people, I hear now when a guy, like there's this whole thing, the word they're putting out now called simp. I'm thinking, you probably heard it, you're a simp. You know, and it's like, well, everything's just being misplaced. You know, they're showing guys who's buying flour for a girl, oh, he's a simp. You know, a guy who's doing this nice for a girl, he's a simp. He's a simp. So, you know, it's just sad that we have false labeling for men. And, you know, and this is men labeling men, which is causing problems. You know, it's just, you know, we're mislabeling actions that actually should be rewarded, you know, or at least give a person credit for being a gentleman. And, you know, we're just, men seem to be falling by the wayside. We don't have, you know, men anymore. You know, men are not being men. And it's kind of hard to explain. And I mean, I see the change. I recognize the change. I mean, I know a lot of guys who really was like, man, we need to find a place where we can just be men, just be men. So a lot of men start going to strip clubs because, you know, they felt like they could be men. But when you go to the strip club now, you know, you got more, sometimes you have more women in the strip club than men. So it's like, and I'm not talking about the dancers. I'm talking about women who pay to get into the strip club, you know, that sit there where you know, it's a difference. It's a difference. Something happened. And I sort of got an idea, but that'll be a long topic. But in some way, there was a transition. And in the process of the transition, one group got elevated and the other group was de-elevated. And you see it when you watch commercials. Look at the way men are portrayed in commercials. Look at the way men are portrayed in television shows. You have very few positive commercials. I mean, you got the commercial where the one woman is trying to feed the kids, run around, do all this, and the man is on the couch. Everything that the man does is downgraded compared to the woman. Because we have become, I heard Pastor Noel Jones say it one time. Oh, if I can remember what he said. So it was to the point, to the fact that, even he was saying that even the church had begun to cater to the women and bad talk the men. And that's where it is. Honestly, I took a T.D. Jakes sermon one time, and it was a Father's Day sermon. And I'm trying to remember the numbers. And it was something like 3 uplifting comments for men, and it was like 7 uplifting comments for women. And then it came back with negative comments to men. And it was just a total opposite from the Woman's Day service for women to the Men's Day service. So and that's no slight against T.D. Jakes. I love T.D. Jakes. I love his messages. But we have become a society where men are being downplayed. We got women saying now, I don't need a man. I don't want a man. I don't need a man. And that is honestly how a lot of women really feel. They don't need a man. And they're not ashamed to tell you that. I don't need a man. And I think there are a lot. I've seen a lot of women now who are like that. They carry themselves like men. They carry themselves like men. They act like a man. They talk like a man. I mean, their walk is like a man. It's like there is no feminine. There's nothing feminine about them. I mean, they're a woman. They like men, but that feminine trait is like gone. I mean, they sit down and drink a beer and talk about the game like the guys do. And it's like, I want a woman. We can sit down and talk about the game, but I want a woman first. I don't want somebody who's walking and talking like I talk, and I want a woman. But like I said, everybody wants something different. I know that comment is gonna start some fire, but because I know what I'm saying, but I don't know if it came across the way I wanted you to interpret it. It wasn't a negative slight saying that a woman is weak or nothing like that. But anyway, the thing is, there has been a change. There's been a drastic change, and yes, a lot of men I have noticed are sensitive. They seem to be more sensitive, and I can't explain the whole thing. I think some of it pretty much is just there's been a change. There's been a transition somewhere, and it's a big difference. And the other thing is, it's just the way men are portrayed right now. Like I said, just watch TV. Really pay attention to the commercials, and you'll see how men are portrayed. When you really watch them, women are always empowering, strong. They're doing something good. They're taking care of the whole house. And the men are kind of like, oh, I'll do the laundry, Oh, you got it. The man is kind of like a klutz, while the woman is sort of the lifesaver. I get it. Because when it comes to TV and marketing, by far, women are the power buyers in this world. They are the power buyers. So TV commercials and all that, their target is women. If we can get women buying our product, because women are they're the power. They're the power buyers. They're the one that do the shopping, because they spend more money in these stores and retail. That's why when you go to a store, you see the men's section is probably here, and the whole rest of the store is women. There is a change. I can't really explain what it is. But in short, I'm gonna wrap this. I don't want it to be too long. Men, there are good men out there. Are a lot of men looking to get married now? No, they're not. And it's for different reasons. The reason I said earlier is the reason I feel that I've noticed a lot, while a lot of the guys I know are kind of like, I'm not getting married. Either I don't want to go through it again, or I don't want to get caught where I'm losing half of what I got that I work for. And, it's just this whole thing where they'd rather just date and not get married. And you got some women that's sort of going along with it. But you got some good women out there who really want a good husband that they can build something with. But everybody right now is so afraid that if I might lose everything I built trying to build something with you if it doesn't work out. So, it's sad, but that's just how it's come. But there are good men out there. Are men more sensitive now? Yes, I agree with you 100%. Like I said, transition, I can do another video. If people like this video, I'll go into more details about what I think the transition period was and why it's affected us today for the men. But other than that, we just got to find a way to where everybody works together, where men and women can come together and accept the fact that, this is a man, this is a woman.
You should know that. Listen to the birds awakening the day. I love the rising of the sun and glow of its rays. Yeah, with a smile on my face, floating on a cloud to win this race. You see, as a friend I'm here for you.